Welcome again, friends. Let's start the next topic, and that is chapter 5, buying an existing business. Well, when we are planning to start a new business, why not to explore buying an existing business, right? Don't you think it is going to save lot of time, lot of hassles? You get a ready business. So this chapter, discuss all the aspects of buying an existing business where the current owner is willing to sell. Well, uh, there are various disadvantages of buying an existing business. Your second slide deals with that. Number one, business may continue to be successful. Let's say you are taking over a successful business and you continue to be running a successful business, right? Secondly, you can use the experience of previous owners. When you are buying, you can always have a clause in the contract that the existing owner will be staying in the business for 6 months for the transition period from the previous owner to the new owner, so on and so forth. You can't uh, really have to negotiate this. You can hit the ground running. This is an existing business, right? So you're taking over a running business. Fourthly, business may have the best location. If you want to start, probably you may not get the right location. Maybe a business similar what you always wanted to do is for sale at one of the best location. And finally, employees and suppliers are in place. It's not only starting the business, it is also getting the right people for the right job. All this is a process, and sometimes it takes long time, lots of trial and error before we get the right person, right? And most importantly, if you are starting a new business and if your supplier do not know you, they will not trust you in extending credit facilities, so on and so forth. But if it is an existing business, you may get continue services of the supplier. Probably you can have the similar credit facility, so on and so forth. So these are all important advantages of buying an existing business. Uh, yeah, in continuation, slide number 3 is the other advantages are that equipments are installed. So you don't have to necessarily buy source equipment, install it. Inventory is in place. The trade credit from the supplier exists. Easier time finding a financing. You know, let's say, for example, if you are starting a new business, right? And if you go to a bank and ask for a loan, you will be finding it difficult unless a business is 3 year old, right? No bank would even entertaining you, right? Because there is no track record of success. But if the business is existing, it will be easier for you to get the necessary finances from banks, financial institution, etc. And at times, you can get a real bargain. At times, people sell their business for various reasons. Most of the times, it is personal, but at times, people are retiring. You know, they have got some other personal reasons, right? And you could get a real bargain when you buy an existing business. But there are some serious disadvantages. What if you buy a real loser, a business which has been consistently making losses, and you do not do your due diligence and you take up a loss making business? Possible ill will from previous owner. Let's say if any negative reputation the previous owner has earned. So if you are not only buying the business, but you are carrying the negative reputation as well, right? So this is a possible disadvantage. The employees may not be suitable. The existing employees, if you get the right people at the right job, right, it's good for you. But at times, quite possible that the employees, which will be anyway coming to you because you are taking over an existing business, may not be suitable employees. The location of the business may not be satisfactory. Equipment may be old and obsolete, right? So these are some of the disadvantages of buying an existing business. Friends, when you are buying an existing business, one of the main issue you need to tackle is valuation of the business. It's very, very important. Are you paying the right price for that business? Right? When I say you are buying a business, actually, what are you doing? In business terms, obviously, you're going to continue the operation. But in terms of taking over business, you are basically taking over two things. Number one, the assets of the business, and number two, the liabilities of the business. You are not only taking over assets, but you are taking over the existing liabilities of the business. So when you are taking over a business, the valuation of business is very, very important, right? And guess if you are not expert in doing business valuation, you can always take assistance of experts who does this job day in and day out, right? They are accounting firms, they are management consultants, right? They have got qualified, competent people, and they will be doing all the due diligence for you. Obviously, you need a legal expert. You would not be interested in falling into some legal trap. Let's say you think that you're taking over business, but after you have taken over, there are some legal hassles, right? So all these due diligence, you must do. Hire an accountant, hire a management consultant. You may be paying or hire a solicitor. You may be paying little fees, but you will have peace of mind. So due diligence by yourself or by your appointed experts is a prerequisite of buying an existing business. When I say uh, uh, buying a business, so uh, when you are buying, analyze your skills, abilities, and interest. Develop a list of criteria. Prepare a list of potential candidates. There may not be just only one seller. There could be number of sellers selling their business, right? Investigate and evaluate candidates' business and select the best one. Maybe out of five businesses for sale, four are not suitable, right? For various reasons. One is suitable. So do your due diligence, negotiate the deal, and explore the financing option. When I say financing option, means how you're going to pay for it, right? As far as financing is concerned, it is either going to be your own money or you're going to borrow money or the combination of the two. So check all the financing option and finally ensure that there is a smooth transition. There are five critical areas for analyzing an existing business. Um, People are very good in telling stories, right? So find out the real reason that why does the owner want to sell. Secondly, what is the physical condition of the business? Thirdly, what is the potential for companies' products and services, right? Maybe you are buying something where the product has reached to saturation. In future the demand in the market would be declining, so on and so forth. So check what is the potential for company's product, or if you're buying a service business. Customer characteristics and composition: who are the existing customer, Who are they? What is their composition? Do the competitor analysis after you have taken over. Who are going to be your competitors? What legal aspects must I consider? There could be, you could fall into several legal hassles, so check the legalities when you're buying up an existing business. Is the business financially sound? The most important question. Is it a profit making company? Right? Let's say may not be. If, let's say last couple of years, it is not making profit, but then you think that you know what is the reason, and you think that after you take over, you are going to change the whole scenario. Obviously, I'll advise you to go ahead and take over that business, but know the real reason, real what do you call realities of the business, whether the business is financially sound. As I told you, valuation of the business is very important. So, though you don't have to learn business valuation, this is beyond the purview of this course, right? That how you're going to value a particular business. I'm just going to tell you there are certain ways of valuing the business, right? One is the balance sheet approach. Let's say you look at the balance sheet of the business, it shows it has certain assets, certain liabilities. The book value of the business is nothing but the assets taken over at agreed value minus the liabilities at its actual value. Let's say the balance sheet shows that the business has got land and the balance sheet value is $1 million. But actually, that land was bought 10 years back and current value is 5 million. Obviously, the seller is not going to take 1 million as valuation, right? So, check what is the actual value, the agreed value of the assets, right? One is all the assets at agreed value. When I say asset, obviously I'm going to cover this in the next topic. But when I say assets, a business could have two types of assets. One is called current asset, and the other one is called fixed assets or non current asset. What is current asset? Those assets which change. Examples is better to understand this: cash in hand, cash at bank, inventory in the business, accounts receivable, short term investments, etc. These are considered as the current assets. Once again, cash in hand, cash at bank, inventory is nothing but the stock of goods lying in the warehouse unsold. Accounts receivable, money which we have to collect from the customers, right? And finally, the short term investment, etc., or some prepaid expenses. Let's say business has paid, for example, next 3 years rent in advance or next 6 months rent in advance. This is considered as current asset because once you buy the business, you are going to get the benefit of that, right? So these are all current assets. Then comes fixed asset. What are the fixed assets? Non-current asset. For example, land, building, plant and machinery, furniture and fixture, motor car, etc. These are all fixed assets, right? Or permanent assets, or which is going to get you benefit for a long time to come, right? So all these assets in the balance sheet, right? You must verify that they do exist, right? And then agree for some valuation. What is the current market value, right? In that, if you go back to slide number 5, right? Let's say they say that the accounts receivable is 101,000, means the business is claiming that they are going to get $101,000. For example, it could be 101 million. $101,000 from its existing customers, right? What you could do is you could do aging analysis. So here in slide 5, this is the accounts receivable aging, what they call it, based on the age of the accounts receivable or your debtors, how long they have not been paying. So if you see, $40,000 is due for payment in less than 30 days. 31 to 60 days, $25,000. 61 to 90 days, $14,000, so on and so forth. But there is 5,000 which is due for payment beyond 151 days, right? Friends, needless to mention, more is the age of accounts receivable, more are the chances of it turning bad debt. Right? This is debt, right? But are the days, more are the chances of it turning bad. Now, based on the experience of the business, in the second column they have written probability for collection, right? It happens depending on the nature of business. At times, we know that, let's say 10% of the debt is going to turn bad. But here it is clearly mentioned, when debt is less than 30 days, then there is 90%, 95% chance that we are going to collect it. But see, the last one, $5,000, it could be 5 million, which is due for more than 151 days, is approximately 5 months the customer has not paid. I'm sure the business must have done effort, to collect the money. It says that there is only 10% chance of getting this money back. So it's not actually 101,000 accounts receivable, it's only $76,050, right? So do the actual valuation of all the assets of the business, check what are the liabilities of the business. Maybe some of the liabilities may not be enlisted in the balance sheet. Do your due diligence, find out, is there any lawsuit? Is there any other claims by outsiders, right? Find out all and then decide about what is the actual liability. And simple valuation is the assets at an agreed value minus the liabilities at the agreed value or the actual values. So let's say a business has got assets of 500,000, liabilities of 200,000. So actually book value is 300,000. Obviously, the seller is not going to sell the business for 300,000. He say that he has been doing business for, let's say, 20 years. He wants some premium, right? So let's say he's asking 500,000 premium. So you want to sell the business for 800,000. You decide whether this business is worth 800,000, right? And there comes the negotiation. So one way of valuing the business is that you do balance sheet approach and then do this way. Another way is doing the what they call a super profit method or number of years purchase. This is a what do you call misnomer, but let me say that number of times of previous year's profit. Let's say on an average, the business has been making profit of $100,000 every year, right? For last 5 years, for example, that's the average. The owner wants 5 times of that, or as the business norm. Different businesses, there are different norms. 5 times, 7 times, 4 times, depending on your negotiation and the existing norms of that business. I knew that there was a school for sale, and the owners were asking 20 times of the average profit of 5 years. School business is something which continues for a foreseeable future. So the owners are asking 20 times. So it all depends on what is the number of times the existing owners are asking and what is the prevailing market practices. So let's say average profit of last 5 years is 100,000 every year. The owner wants 7 times of that or 5 times of that. So 500,000 is going to be the valuation of business. I hope you understand. So these are the two popular methods of business valuation, and you need to be very, very careful in doing the business valuation. And then comes the last part, and that is negotiating the right price. While you are negotiating from the existing owner, right, there are 5 P's. Anyway, you're going to learn that in the course of communication and negotiation. And these 5 P's are poise, persistence, persuasiveness, preparation, and last but not the least, patience. Let's start with preparation. Examine the needs of both the parties and all the relevant external factors affecting the negotiation before you sit down to talk. Right? You knowing the real reason of seller selling his business definitely puts you in a better position of negotiation. Poise, remain calm during the negotiation, never raise your voice, never lose your temper, even if the situation gets difficult or emotional. It's better to walk away and calm down than to blow up and blow the deal. See, a person who is selling his business, right, is emotionally attached to the business. Let's say he has been doing the business for last 25 years, and due to some personal circumstances, he is forced to sell it. So, at times, because of his emotion, if you are going to say something which hurts him emotionally, is going to break the deal. Persistence. Don't give it at the first sign of resistance to your position, especially if it is an issue that ranks high on your list of priorities. Fourthly, you should be very persuasive. Know what your most important positions are, articulate them, and offer support for your position. Last but not the least, you should be very, very patient. Don't be in such a hurry to close the deal that you end up giving up much of what you hope to get. Impatience is a major weakness in negotiation. So consider these 5 P's of negotiating and negotiate a good deal. Buying an existing business is not always a bad idea. Probably you could get a very good deal rather than starting everything as a fresh, right? Whereas you could get an existing, well set business, which is the previous owner have really done it with lots of honesty and hard work, right? So you could really buy an existing business. There is no problem with that. So that's all about your chapter 5, buying an existing business. Thank you.